Shodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Yamuna Tira Panachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai Shri Shri Gauritai Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Ayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. For reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayan, our supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 37. Kim va krita ageshu agam ati amarshi bhima ahivat dirga tamam vyamunchat yasya angri patam ranabhu na sehe margam Gadaya Charata Vichitram Kingva Kritagesh Bhagam Atyamarshi Pimo Hivader Gatamang Vyamunchat Yasyang Gripatam Ranapurna Sehe Margam Gadayash Charato Vichitram Kingva Kritagesh Bhagam Atyamarshi Pimo Hivadur Gatamang Vyamunchat Yasyang Gripatam Ranapurna Sehe Margam Gadayash Charato Vichitram Kingva Kritagesh Bhagam Atyamarshi Pimo Hivadur Gatamang Vyamunchat Yasyang Gripatam Ranapurna Sehe Margam Gadayash Charato Vichitram Anyone? King Vakritagesh Bhagam Atyamashi Bhimo Hivadir Gatamang Vyamunchat Yasyang Ripatam Ranabona Sehe Margam Gadayash Charato Vichitram Kingva Kritagesh Bhagam Atyamashi Bhimo Hivadir Gatamang Vyamunchat Yasyang Ripatam Ranapurna Sehe Magam Gadayash Charato Vichitram. Ladies. King Vakritagesh Bhagam Atyamashi Bhimo Hivadir Gatamam Vyamunchat Yasyang Gripatam Ranapurna Sehe Margam Gadayash Charato Vichitram Kimva Kritagesh Bhagam Atyamashi Bhimo Hivadir Gatamam Vyamunchat Yasyang Ripatam Ranapurna Sehe Magam Gadayash Charato Vichitram Kim whether Va either krita, performed, akeshu, unto the sinners, agham, angry, ati amarshi, unconquerable, bhima, ahivat, like a cobra, dirga tamam, long cherished, vimunchat, has released, yazya, whose, angri patam, putting on the steps, ranabhu, the field of battle, na, could not, sehe, tolerate, maragam, the path, gadaya, by the clubs, charata, playing, vichitram, wonderful. Translation. Please tell me whether the unconquerable Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long-cherished anger upon the sinners. The field of battle could not tolerate even the wonderful playing of his club when he stepped on the path. Please repeat. Please tell me whether the unconquerable Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long-cherished anger upon the sinners. The field of battle could not tolerate even the wonderful playing of his club when he stepped on the path. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura knew the strength of Bhima. Whenever Bhima was on the battlefield, his steps on the path and the wonderful playing of his club were unbearable for the enemy. Powerful Bhima did not take steps against the sons of Dhritarashtra for a long time. Vidura's inquiry was whether he had yet released his anger, which was like that of a suffering cobra. When a cobra releases its venom after long-cherished anger, its victim cannot survive. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vachane Nevishesha Sunivari Pastajade Shidhane Gyanati Virantasya Gnam Ganasha Lakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, I'm going to discuss this with you, devotees, and ask you some questions, which I would like you to answer in just sticking to the point that we're trying to cover. And if you are, if you're citing any evidence that you have, that if you bring up any evidences, that's wonderful. That's what we want. We want that if you make any points, then support them with evidence. And then, if we do that, I think it's important that we all look at the different evidences because they can be variously interpreted. One thing Srila Prabhupada said is that his books and indeed Shastra can be seen from many angles, from different perspectives. So it's very important that we recognize that we may but think something we believe to be true, but it's obviously based on our own interpretation, understanding of the evidence of Scripture. So what we like to do in discussing Shastra, myself and my wife who do this every day when I say we, and others in my little groups, is to drill down, to really analyze the statements that Prabhupada is making and to give everyone the opportunity to say what they understand it to be saying. This is very important. We shouldn't just take at face value blindly that, you know, someone is saying, well, Prabhupada said, and here's the evidence, but then, okay, fine, that's good. But now let's just have a look at that together and see if we all agree on the way you're seeing it. So let me see if I've got any notes here that I can consult. Yeah. So let's start with this. What is the context here? Where are we? How did we get here at this point in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Can anyone say? Who's speaking to start with? You've all been coming, I suppose, regularly to the class. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. Even if you get it wrong, it's no problem at all. Vidura. Okay. And what's the context? How did we arrive here? Any of the ladies? This is who's he speaking to? Yeah.
He's speaking to Maitreya.
Yeah.
When he's met Maitreya or he's on pilgrimage, he's gone to find Maitreya. No, he's speaking to Uddhava. He's speaking to Uddhava. He's been on pilgrimage and he bumps into Uddhava here.
That's right. Okay. So yeah, Vidura's on pilgrimage. So why is he on pilgrimage? He was offended. Yeah. He was offended in the court in Hastinapur. And then he left on pilgrimage. Exactly. And how did he arrive at this situation now then? What were the sequence of events? Can anyone understand, remember? Among the ladies, have any of you been coming to class on a regular basis? Maybe not. So you're probably not familiar. Have you read this section of the Bhagavatam? Yeah? Anyone? Can anyone say how we've arrived here? It came from Maitreya. It's the other way around. He meets Uddhava first, right? And then Uddhava sends him to Maitreya. What happened is, if we go back to the first canto, 113.1, then we hear this. Sutta Goswami said, while traveling on a pilgrimage, Vidura received knowledge of the destination of the self from the great sage Maitreya and then returned to Hastinapur. He became as well versed in the subject as he desired. So this is the first time we are introduced to Vidura in the Bhagavatam. Sutta Goswami mentions his name. And then as a result of that, Shaunaka then becomes inquisitive. He's mentioned, Maitreya, Vidura meeting Maitreya. This obviously must be something of great import and spiritual significance. So he asks a question, but that doesn't come for a little while because Sutta Goswami proceeds with his narration after that. And then we get Shaunaka asking him a question at the very end of the second canto. Let us know, please, what topics were discussed between Vidura and Maitreya, who talked on transcendental subjects, and what was inquired by Vidura and replied by Maitreya. Also, please let us know the reason for Vidura's giving up the connection of his family members and why he again came home. Please also let us know the activities of Vidura while he was in the places of pilgrimage. So this is the conversation between Sutta and the sages, right? Which frames the whole Bhagavatam. So after Shaunaka asked this question, how did Sutta reply? What did he say? Anyone, yeah. What was Sutta's response to this? If you know, go ahead.
He starts by explaining what happened in Hastinapur. As far as I remember, he's saying that after they offended Krishna came for peace talks, and they offended him. Dhritarashtra was very concerned that, oh my God, now we've blown it. So he asked Vidura to give him advice what to do. Vidura said, immediately disown your son, or get him to apologize and give back the fund of this kingdom. At which point, Duryodhana loses it, and he says, arrest him, throw him into prison.
Yeah.
And Vidura realizes it's lost case, so he just puts his bow down and he walks out, goes on pilgrimage.
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't want to give him
Yeah.
religious groups.
That's what happened, yeah, in Hastinapur. Who asked him to come here? This son of a kept mistress. He speaks against those who maintain him. Who does he think he is? This insolence. And then, so then he departed. He was actually a Kshatriya, of course. I mean, he was a mixed caste, wasn't he? Really, but he was expected. He would have been expected to fight on behalf of the Kauravas, which of course he didn't want to do. So he took that as an opportunity to get out of that, and he left. And symbolically, he leaves his bow. That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. But yeah, what actually happens is that's all true. That's what happened. But we go into the Shukadev Parikit dialogue, because Sutta says that I will relate to you the conversation as it occurred between Shukadev and Parikit, where these incidents are described. So we hear them, and it's in this chapter, directly from the lips of Shukadev, as he speaks to Parikit. So, but before, what does he do before he explains? Because this is what Shaunaka asked. Let us know, please, what topics were discussed between Vidura and Maitreya, who talked on transcendental subjects, and what did Maitreya say in return? So then he relates Shukadev, and Shukadev says what he says to Parikit, because Parikit has asked him a number of questions. Do you know where he asked those questions? Canto chapter 8. Yeah, chapter 8 is questions by Parikit in second canto. There's a whole long list. He goes through all these questions. Shukadev answers a few, and then he says, I'll answer the rest by citing a conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. So this is where he now starts speaking about them. But before he does that, what does he do? It's in this chapter. Yeah.
Is it that he explains that he met Uddhav first, so it's along the way he meets Uddhav?
Exactly, yeah.
And then he asked Uddhav for deep philosophical discussion. He's like, I'm not qualified because I'm younger than you. You're like an uncle to me. So please go see Maitreya Rishi.
Excellent, yes. So, yes, exactly right, yes. So Shukadev says that what he does first is he wants to explain the background. So he explains how Vidura came to meet Maitreya in the first place. So, Vidura sets off, and he somehow, by the Lord's arrangement, encounters Uddhava, as you say. That's the first thing. So then there's a description here in this chapter of that meeting, how then Vidura, he begins to ask his questions. So what's his questions? What's he asking? What's Vidura asking from Uddhava? Yeah. He wants to know. Did you want to say?
He starts asking about how all the Kauravas, not the Kauravas, first of all, the Yadus are getting on.
Yeah.
Family members.
Confirmed. Do you want to close that?
He's heard rumors about them all, but he doesn't want to believe the rumors.
Yeah.
He's asking, how is Krishna? And he asks about all the family members.
Yeah.
Then he starts asking about the Kauravas, the Pandavas and the Kauravas.
Yeah.
And before that, he'd gone on a long pilgrimage for many years, which all the places he passes through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he wants to know. He'd heard rumors because he'd gone on pilgrimage prior to the battle. So, of course, the rumors had spread about the total destruction of the entire Kaurava dynasty and all the Pandavas, barring the Pandavas themselves, a few others. So he asked Uddhava, and he in a mood of like, oh, can this really be true? Please tell me it's not true. In his heart, he knew it was true, but, he's asking Uddhava. So, yeah, Uddhava is relating what happened. So, Vidura's asking the questions, what happened to the Yadus, what happened to Krishna, and Balaram and everything. So that's where we are being told. This is where we're being told these things now by Uddhava, or we're going to be. This is first of all Vidura's questions. So here's one of his questions. Please tell me whether the unconquerable Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long-cherished anger upon the sinners. So why was Bhima angry? What does this mean, his long-cherished anger?
He's been angry for a while because of all the atrocities the Kauravas have done, such as like disrobing of Draupadi, calling her not very nice things in the assembly, in the gambling assembly. I think at every moment he wanted to get up and just beat the hell out of them. But he didn't, because his brothers were like, sit down.
Calm down.
We want to drink the blood of the chest of the Shasha and break the knee, the leg, the thigh as well. So he's got this pent up frustration that he hasn't had a chance to get out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're saying that, first of all, the Sabha, the assembly where Draupadi was insulted, that was like rankling him. And he'd wanted, for a long time, he had wanted to annihilate them and, rip out Dhritarashtra's heart and drink his blood and kill all the other brothers, all 90 or 100 of them. So that was one thing, yes, that's absolutely correct. What else was there that annoyed him?
What did he start even in their childhood?
Mm.
Were they not rivals then?
Yeah.
Were they not bullying them?
So he's saying it began even in their childhood, yes. Yes. Well, you said he was bullying them. Was he really bullying them?
Was he kind of, putting them in don't give them the water or something like that? Where they did
Yeah, he was hurling them around and thrusting them under the river and shaking them out of the trees and stuff like that. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
I wouldn't say that Bhima was bullying. Bhima was a young boy, and they were young boys.
Yeah.
Anyone who's had young boys, they like to wrestle and play and climb trees, and they're very competitive. So all the princes were playing like this together. The problem was that Bhima always won. Even when the entire 100 brothers would gang up on him to try and hit him, he'd still win and
Yeah.
whip their ass. He wasn't beating them.
Ass whippings.
They didn't like it. Duryodhana didn't like it because he didn't like being upstaged all the time.
Yeah.
And Bhima was constantly upstaging them.
Mm.
So I don't think he was bullying them, he was just playing.
It was just boyish pranks, playing, and that's what the Kshatriyas would do anyway. They would fight. Sometimes it would get really heated, and someone would die. I mean, that's the way they are. That's their nature, So he was, he was just stronger than them, and that did start some resentment and anger from Duryodhana, which led to a specific incident. The poisoning, yeah. When they went once for an excursion, a pleasure excursion, and they had this enormous feast. And then Duryodhana laced it with immense amounts of poison. But then what happened after that? As a result of that turned to Bhima's favor, didn't it, in one way? Because, do you know?
They throw him in the lake after poisoning him.
Yeah.
And that's actually like with the Nagaloka, and they're related to the Nagaloka. So his kind of uncle says,
Yeah.
sorry, we've taken you captive here, take a sip of this.
Yeah.
One sip gives you enough strength of 100 elephants, I think, something like that.
10,000.
Or 10,000 elephants. And so he actually comes back stronger. So he was supposed to be dead, but he actually comes back.
Comes back stronger, yeah. Yeah, he sank. He was bound hand and foot, and then he ended up somehow in Nagaloka through some mystic passageway. He went, and yeah, the Nagas gave him this nectar drink that gave him all that power.
I just want to add a little detail to what Vrindavan said, that when he was floating and kind of comatose from the poison had been given, he was being carried down
Yeah.
into this undercurrent.
Yeah,
The snakes, the Naga snakes, began biting him. They saw this human body and they began biting him.
yeah,
And their poison countered the poison that Duryodhana gave.
that's right.
Regained
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah, yeah. If you somehow manage to make it down to Bilaswaga, they won't take kindly to it. They'll have a go at you. So, as my wife said, the Nagas they bit him, so that somehow their poison counteracted the poison of that he'd been administered. Yeah, and then he woke up, and then he was thrashing the Nagas, right? So what other incidents were there after that? There were further incidents that all these things were in Bhima's head, that, the things that they'd done. And in fact, that they're in the Mahabharata, of course, but they're just some. It said actually these things are just some of the incidents. It was continual that they were being harassed by, the Kauravas. But there was something else. What else was there? Any other incidents you can remember? Go ahead. The burning of the Lac House, yeah. And where was that? Begins with a V. Varanavata, yeah. Isn't that where the impersonalists are now? Kind of, that's their headquarters, right? The Varanavata. Yeah. So that was another time. They contrived, like Duryodhana contrived to have them sent away, and then built this house of lacquer, completely inflammable, the whole thing, and then set light to it. Well, they were intending to set light to it, but how did they find out? How did the Pandavas find out that this was going on? Vidura told them, and so they were prepared and ready, and they indeed burned the house themselves and made their escape through a tunnel into the surrounding forest. If you have any questions about any of this as we go, please don't hesitate to ask. So then other things are mentioned. What other incidents are there? Banishing, yeah, that was definitely something. That came after, didn't it? The Asat Sabha, gambling match, yeah. There's a verse, 1:824, which is Queen Kunti speaking, and she says, "My dear Krishna, Jai Shishi Radha Gokulananda, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Ki Jai, Shishi Gornitai Ki Jai." Hare Krishna. My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama. So, yeah, when did she say this? This Queen Kunti? Pardon? Krishna's leaving, yeah. Yeah. This is after everything, yeah. And he's about to depart. And he just saved them again. What had happened there? On that just before that, before he left. It's mentioned here. Ashwatthama, yeah. Somehow Ashwatthama had managed to release the Brahmashtra. This is after he'd actually been bound up and dragged before Yudhisthira and had his top jaw cut off, right, and sent into the forest. He must have had some residual power left, a little bit left, just enough for him to hurl this Brahmashtra to try and kill. Who was he trying to kill? Parikshit, yeah, exactly. Because that's how he got his name, isn't it? Parikshit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was intending to kill all of them. Especially Parikshit, though, because he was thinking, well, the they killed our dynasty. I'll kill theirs. Yeah. So the Lord then, there's different accounts of that Parikshit was actually burned to ashes, and then the Lord restored him back to life. And then, but I think in the Bhagavatam that we have, it says that he appeared there, whirling his chakra, and he neutralized the. So either way, he saved his life. And then after that, and the Parikshit saw him in the womb, right? And then he's got that name of the searcher. He's always looking. Is this the person who saved me? Is this the person who saved me? Which is Lord Vishnu, of course. So these are the reasons why he was angry, especially, of course, the vicious assembly, where Draupadi was cruelly insulted by Dushashan and all of them, really. And they attempted to disrobe her. So that in particular, obviously on top of it, and that was where he made his terrible vow that he would kill Dushashan because he was the one who dragged her by her hair. So yeah, why did he not release his anger? He said, long cherished, what was preventing him from actually immediately, you'd think right there and then, right, when Draupadi was insulted in such a way that he would have wasted no time and destroyed them. But he didn't. And none of the Pandavas actually took action. It's a little hard to understand, isn't it? Really. It's like, why not? This is their wife, they're Kshatriyas. So why didn't they? Was there a good reason? Not the right time or the right place, yeah?
He said that we've lost our independence because we're now, because he backed all of the brothers, so they were now their servants of Duryodhana, and servants wouldn't really get up, and so they lost their title as Kshatriyas because they were servants at that point.
They'd lost their independence, and they were now Shudras almost. They were like servants, right? So they couldn't do anything for that reason, yeah? Anything else?
After the Rajasuya and all the kings of the world, including Durudaya, come to Indraprastha and went left, Narad stayed behind, and Yudhishthira was speaking to Narad. And Narad, he did this Rajasuya sacrifice for what was the good of the world. And Narad told him, because of your sacrifice, there'll be 13 years of auspiciousness for the world. At the end of the 13th year, I think he said 13 years, you can correct me if I've got the dates wrong. He said there will be a great war which will destroy all the Kshatriyas, and you'll be the cause of the war. And it won't be your fault, but you'll be the cause. And at that point, Yudhishthira made the vow that he would never, ever disobey anything that his elders told him, because he was thinking about always obedient to them. If I'm always subservient to them, maybe we can avoid this war. So, in the gambling match, the reason Yudhishthira was afraid because Dhritarashtra ordered him to do the
Yeah,
gambling match.
yeah.
And Dhritarashtra, who was his elder, was not interfering with anything that was disrobing.
Mm-hmm.
And to my mind, it's like Yudhishthira was weighing it up. It's us or the whole world.
Yeah.
If I can just keep tolerating, then maybe they'll see that, they haven't interfered from us, and we could just live in peace and avoid this war.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they went into hiding, you see, you're thinking, well, if we can just keep the conditions and we come back, they can just give us 5 villages.
Yeah.
They can keep Indraprastha, they can keep everything. Just give us 5 villages. Maybe we can avoid this terrible war which is going to destroy all the Kshatriyas of the world.
Yeah.
So Yudhishthira was always thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly. He was concerned that this will turn into a conflagration which will destroy the world, and he'd been told, as you say, by Narad. Narad had predicted that there would be a great war that would destroy all the Kshatriyas, and So he didn't want to be the cause of that. So that really was, he'd made that vow that he would always be obedient to his elders. And of course, Dhritarashtra was silent during the whole thing when Draupadi was being insulted. Not only he was he was eagerly, what has been won? What has been won? You know, he was. Yes.
I have a question that I get asked quite a lot that I don't know how to respond to is that if the Brahmanas had lost their independence, if Yudhishthira had lost his independence already, then how is it that he had the right to put his wife on the stake?
Yeah, that was the confusion that Bhishma experienced as well. That he could not have staked her, and so did Vidura say that afterwards that she's not actually lost? Was it him or was it the Vijay? It was one of them. I forget exactly, but yes, that's a question that remains. Sorry, Vikana rather. Sorry, that's a question that remains. But it was accepted. It was accepted by Dhritarashtra. It was accepted by the elders. Bhishma said, "I'm unable to pronounce on this," you know. And then later he said that his intelligence had been confused because he was in the employ of Dhritarashtra, who was, you know, eating his food, and so he wasn't able to think clearly at that time.
With this kind of old traumatic story, you kind of sometimes go to this idea that there's parts of the Mahabharata that have been adulterated, and the Madhacharya who noted that. So how do we know which parts of the Mahabharata that we're reading today are the authentic Mahabharata, and which ones have been adulterated over time? And is the story an adulteration, or is it the actual factual story originally written down?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good question. You're saying, are the details of the Mahabharata authentic and true? Because obviously they've been corrupted over the years, as we're told, and there's interpolations, accretions, you know. So, I mean, yes, some people challenge whether the disrobing actually occurred. That, you know, okay, she was dragged by her hair into the assembly, but did the disrobing really occur, or is that a later interpolation? Well, the way I've dealt with that is to see, well, what does Prabhupada say? He's our link, he's our connection. He accepts the disrobing. It frequently refers to it. Other acharyas have accepted it. I've seen, you know, it's mentioned, Bilva Mangal Thakur mentions it in one of his poems. And other, you know, authorities I've seen. So that's accepted. There's what's called the critical edition of the Mahabharata, which you can read, but that leaves out quite a few of the important incidents that are accepted by Srila Prabhupada, for example. But yeah, I mean, there is some dispute sometimes over some of the details, you know. We'll just let Prayojana make his way out. Yeah. But I think, you know, that the key incidents that we're talking about here are accepted by our authorities, so that's the best we can do. Did you want to say something?
I just want to say something to Vrindavi's point. I forget how she voiced it, not how she expressed it, but what I want to add was that it's not that you just thought, oh, I've got a right to gamble my wife now.
No.
He finished. He gambled himself.
He was goaded into it,
That
yeah.
was the end.
Yeah.
It was Durga who said, if you bet her,
Yeah.
then you can win everything back.
Yeah.
Why don't you bet her? Because if you win this roll of dice, you can win everything back.
Yeah.
So it was Durga who founded the, and was goading him on.
It's goading him on, yeah.
It was all like the brothers back, you know.
Win it all back. And he was always thinking, like, okay, Krishna's in control. Like, you know, if this could happen, if he wants it to happen, then, okay, let's do this, you know, see. Yeah.
I think the question for me was, why did not Krishna help? Why did Krishna allow that to happen to Draupadi?
Okay, yes, why did Krishna let that happen? Why did he not prevent it at the outset, before she was insulted? So she could surrender? She was glorified there, wasn't she? By that wonderful intervention of the Lord, and when she just gave herself up completely to him. And there's that wonderful prayer in the Mahabharata that she uttered at that time, praying to the Lord, Dorkavasin.
Seeing so many great kings unable to protect and teaching us that every person has to be.
Yeah, that's an important lesson, yeah. That the only real shelter and protector we have is Krishna. Even she had like the most powerful warriors in the world as her husbands, 5 of them, and still they couldn't, somehow or another, circumstantially, they were unable to protect her. But Krishna came through. And he says, like, when he met the Pandavas soon after they'd gone to the forest, I was otherwise detained. What was he doing at the time? He was fighting someone. Shalva, yeah. So otherwise I'd have come there and I'd have uprooted destroyed the whole dynasty of the Kauravas immediately. So what can we do now, he said. It's too late. It's like you've made your vow and your promise, you'll have to stick with it. And of course we also know that there's a plan unfolding, right? That the Lord, he came to relieve the earth's burden of all the excessive numbers of demonic kings with all their armies, and they all sided with Duryodhana in the battle.
I think all of that could have been accomplished without that happening to Draupadi. He could have done that. Personally, the lesson I take from the
True.
story of Draupadi is Krishna teaches us through his great eternal associate. She's an eternal associate.
Yes.
She didn't have to practice surrender. She didn't have to show her surrender. She's the Lord's eternal. Wherever he goes with her. She's an expansion of the goddess of fortune.
Yeah.
So I think through his great devotees, he teaches us something, and we are going to find ourselves in situations where we're absolutely helpless, and we're facing difficulties, maybe difficulties of health, maybe difficulties of finances, maybe difficulties where we're in physical danger. In fact, if I'm allowed, I'd like to tell you a story in that regard. But our only protection is Krishna, and we have to remember these in such time when we are in difficulty, turn to him with all our hearts and all our faith.
Yeah.
If I'm allowed, I'd just like to recite a little modern day incident.
Sure.
When we were preaching in Manchester, a lady came to the temple one day, a very respectable, well-dressed, obviously very professional lady. And, I went to greet her. She said, "You don't need to preach to me. Thank you very much." And so, why are you here? I've never met her before. And she said, "Wherever I go in the world, I first find the Hare Krishna temple center, and I go offer my respects to Krishna. I come and offer my respects to Krishna." And I said, "Well, how come?" And she was telling me that when she was like a young girl, 18, 19, and she saw the devotees doing Harinam in London, first Harinam she ever saw, and she was admiring them, and she was like tapping her foot and tapping, and they began to serve her, chanting the holy name for a few minutes, So after a few minutes, the holy name was like ringing in her ears. That night she went to a pub, and she was picked up by a man who she thought was a nice man, but he ended up actually threatening to kill her and or other unmentionable things. And she said when he was threatening her, taking her, he was going to drive her home, he took her to the side of the Thames in the car that no one had. And then he began threatening her. And she said just the mantra started coming to her mind, because that morning
She'd been there, yeah.
in circle time,
Right.